morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning to you all today. Happy Friday today. It is one of my favorite days. It is Figure It Out Friday. So, good morning to you all today. Good morning, Sandy, Luz. I hope I said that right. Luz. We got D. We got Caroline. Mr. Kastner is here. Good morning, all. If this is your first time being on here, hit us up in the chat. Tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're at, what you got going on. Facebook world, good morning to you. We got a really good show here this morning that I'm going to get into it. And I'm getting there. It's a good one today, guys. It got me goosebumps earlier today when I was talking to Sean. So we're just getting some people in here and Figure It Out Friday. And we got Facebook is now up and running. I love it. Facebook, good morning to you all. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, D. We got Claudia. Chad is driving today. The other day I was driving. Today Chad is driving. Saw Christian at the gym today. Sandy, your name was mentioned in my conversations. I was talking to my buddy Brian. He is going to be reaching out to you. So always something going on. It's not even 8:30 and it's been a great day so far. I went to the gym today. Christian, it was like one of those moments where you're kind of like in the zone at the gym and you kind of like keep to yourself in the morning. And like, I kind of like look up and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that guy. And so it was good seeing Christian this morning. Did I say that right? Luz. She is from Charlotte. Luz. I'm terrible at names, but I just want to say hi. I haven't seen her before. So good morning to you. And good morning to the
actually pronounced loose.
Loose. I love it.
But everybody gets it wrong. That's fine.
All right. Well, I guess I fit in that category. So much for trying to separate myself. I can't even get that right. So, well, good morning and welcome to you being here. And good morning to the Facebook world. So, let's start off by saying our affirmation today. For those that weren't here the other day, it's my new thing. Good things are going to happen to me. Good things are going to happen through me. We'll say it all together one time. Good things will happen to me. Good things will happen through me. It's my new thing that I'm starting each and every morning because I just think it is so powerful because when we put it out there, good things do happen. But if you don't, well, we're in a hamster wheel, but hopefully still good things happen to you. So good morning, Stephanie. Guys, I have a really good person here on today. My name is Brock Zivan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a dad. And that little intro now is becoming a little comical because yesterday, Wendy's daughter, Alexis, was saying, "Oh, Brock, what are you going to say today? I like who your title is." And we were coming up with some funny titles for myself. But that is who I am. This is what you get. Today is Figure It Out Friday. It's cultivated in something bigger than I thought it was going to do. I'm so excited today. A guy by the name of Sean Sullivan. He is going to be coming on here. And Sean, you're going to hopefully get your video working. I don't know if you're in I forgot about the video part of it. There he is.
We're here.
So Sean reached out to me, and one of the greatest things about this show is some of you reach out to me and share part of your story. And it is the coolest thing in the world is that I wasn't too sure about the show. I wasn't too sure about mindset motivation. I didn't have this vision, but if the vision gets bigger where this show is transforming lives. This show is helping people. It is helping people in a mindset. It is helping people grow. It inspires people. And this is the stories of what people share with me, and they share their story. And so Sean and he reached out to me. I asked him, I said, "How did you hear about me?" He's like, "I was on Instagram and it popped up." And then he listened to parts of my story. And the greatest thing that God aligned him with was like, I didn't reach out to him. So he calls me up and actually Facebook messages me. And then we started talking. He had his shirt on from Montana State. And so sometimes I don't even know where people are from. And I was like, I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, this guy's calling me from Montana. Wow, this is pretty cool. And I said to him, I said, where in Montana are you? And he looks down at his shirt. He's like, I'm not from Montana. I'm from Belmont, which is like 20 minutes from me. So I was just like, oh, you're right around the corner here. But how cool is it? And he starts telling me a little bit about his story. And we shared it again a little bit this morning, and I got goosebumps from it again. And so part of it, I was just talking to Larry Laughter, and Larry Laughter is a known person in our area that talks about mental health. And mental health, guys, is a major situation, a major crisis that we have across our country. And it is not just like alcoholism. It doesn't care how much money you make. It doesn't care your color. It doesn't care about anything. It will come after you and it will have a fun time. It will sit down at your kitchen table. It will climb in the bed with you. It will come in the car with you. Mental health and diseases that we face and we challenge go with us every single place until you start to face it and work on things and be around people that overcome this. And so he was telling me his story, and this is what we all, I'm pretty sure we've all heard of this name, COVID, right? No, everybody's heard of COVID. I'm not too sure, maybe you've been hiding under a rock, but I shared with you yesterday, guys, that mental health and COVID in our children and adults is going to cause us a lot of problems moving forward in our future. And COVID mentally came into Sean's life and put some things out there. I'm not going to share all of his story, but the last 3 years, his mental health has been really, really challenged. And to be able to see where he is today is amazing. But Sean, welcome, buddy. Good morning.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it, and glad to be here. Good morning, everybody. So my figured out Friday. Wow, pressure.
Yeah, he goes, can we go over a couple things? And guys, what I want to say to you while you're thinking about this, like Sean doesn't have like, I want to be on a stage and coaching. And so when he asked to be on this, not asked, like I was saying to him, I was like, hey man, have you thought about this? So like, just keep in mind, like people are, like I say it to you many times, like with Sandy last week, like this triggers things inside of them. So just keep that in mind when you're hearing Sean, like like this is amazing. So anyway, Sean, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on, man, and what happened to your mental health.
Sure. So obviously with COVID, I'm not in real estate. I'm in the corporate world, been in the corporate world for the last 25 years. Worked for Fortune 100 when COVID hit. And this company, I was always in the office at least 4 days a week. So I had that obviously social stimulation from coworkers, et cetera. I do not have any family in the area. My son lives about 2 hours away. So anyhow, COVID hits, I'm working from home, me and my dog, and, a lot of employers that were involved in the COVID response, they expected their employees to be available 24/7, 365. I was probably working 12 hours a day. I'm in the procurement field. I'm a category manager. I'm no longer at the company I was at, but I had, roughly 8 categories and $500 million, that's with a B, in spend on an annual basis. So I was managing $500 million a year. And basically my workload was ridiculous. I was just I was barely getting by, but, I put on, like most men, or actually most people in this country, they put on a mask and say, hey, everything's fine. Everything's fine. But right underneath, it's just like a tsunami going on inside you. So, I did this for 3 years. And, 2022, we go back in the office. So, I'm going back in the office once a week. And I'm just, humming along, just sustaining, not really living life. I'm just existing, if you will.
And during COVID, Sean, you were literally at home by yourself for about 2.5 years.
Correct. Yeah, I would get out and see friends and stuff like that, but the very limited human interaction just due to the workload. So fast forward, 20, I've always suffered from seasonal depression, right? So I've always, been able to manage that. But this was something more. This was, I was in a hole, if you will. So fast forward to the beginning of 2022, some of my workload has been taken off me because they realized, hey, I mean, he's got so much going on, his bandwidth is limited. But I still feel like crap, I'm just, at this point, I'm only feeling 3 emotions: joy, anxiety, and depression. And I was confused, excitement, anxiety, and depression. And I was confusing excitement with happiness. Excitement's fleeting. It's here 1 minute, gone the next. I had no internal joy, no internal happiness. I was just, honest to God, a miserable person to be around. So with that said, my workload eases up. And I'm like, I'm working from home. I got a lot of extra time on my hands. Well, I'm going to do another remote job. So I was like, boom, I'm going to double my income. So I do that. And that's when the wheels fall off. I just tailspin. And, I start self-medicating with, alcohol just to shut my brain off because my brain's always going. And, my friends, the person I was in a relationship with at the time, I was just not very nice. It was not fun to be around. I was just.
I think you used the word broken at one point of our conversation, that you were just broken.
Yeah, I was just, completely just a mess and broken. And to be 100% honest, I didn't want to admit to myself that I was. I just wanted to be the racehorse, put the blinders on, and keep charging forward. So fast forward to July of 2022, I made a decision to go to therapy to save a relationship. Not for me, just to save the relationship. So, going to therapy, start half-assing it, just because, I'm going through the motions because I don't have the energy. I'm just going through the motions. So I'm doing that, go to the doctor, get put on, an antidepressant. And unfortunately, this antidepressant that they put me on cranked up the anxiety in my life, 250%. I was worse off than I was when I started taking it. And so things just got progressively worse. And, September of 2022, the relationship ended. She said she couldn't, I was just, she's like, you're making me miserable. And, I kind of marinated on that for a week, I guess, but there was there's just other stuff going on. I mean, my symptoms, my depression just got worse and worse and worse. And I actually went to the Panthers game, the first Panthers game of the season, with a couple friends, tailgated, it was all right time, whatever. Get home and, it's like, damn, Monday's coming. And I lay on my bed and gave serious consideration to ending my life. And the gun was loaded, literally and figuratively. The next thing you know, my phone rings. It was a friend of mine that I hadn't talked to in 6 months. His spouse is dying of pancreatic cancer. And here he is calling me, hey, buddy, how are you doing? And I did not tell him what was going on. But he saved my life. And I told him a couple months later. And then it's funny, the next day I had therapy. And, before I could say anything to my therapist, therapist says to me, hey, you need to quit half-assing this. And I was like, she was like, I know you're just half-assing it for the sake of, saying you're going to therapy. She's like, you can go spend $75, $100 elsewhere. And, and it clicked. I broke down with my therapist, later that week, I actually got in with a psychiatrist rather than my internist, and told him what my symptoms were, told him everything. They did a DNA swab to find, to figure out what medications were going to work. And, for the first time in my life, I had to admit to myself, yes, I was broken. Yes, I can't do this by myself. Yes, I need help. And so I started on this journey to, get back into a better place. And a lot of it, who I am today versus who I was 6 months ago, it's like
Sean,
night and day.
can I ask you a
Yeah.
question on that?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm a very big advocate that throughout our lives, there's many defining moments. And I have different defining moments that happened to me when I broke down, and I still to this day have defining moments in my life because it transforms me.
Mm-hmm.
You have a defining moment that you remember? Was it that phone call that guy made to you, or what was maybe one of your defining moments?
I mean, I actually have two. It was the phone call. And then actually November 7th, 2022, I woke up. It was Monday morning. I'd just come back from a trip. I was down in Charleston visiting my brother. And I woke up and I just felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Like I just had internal joy. I was like, wow, I got another day on this earth. And, I don't know if it was, a combination of medication therapy, or if this is divine intervention, or whatever you want to call it, or if the universe just aligned with me. That was like the turning point. And like from that point forward, it's like you say on your daily affirmations. Like I before I get out of bed in the morning, I'm like, I'm just like, thanks for another day here. Thanks for giving me everything I need. Do I have bad days? Oh, of course. Who doesn't have bad days? But I just came to the realization that, life is what you make it. And, chasing the money train, or whatever the heck you want to call it, and adding additional stress to your life when you don't need to.
I think you said something the other day about Chad said something to you on Tuesday about that.
Yeah.
It triggered something with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's a good, Chad had mentioned that, he was chasing the money, and then he had his revelation. Right around the same time of, my buddy calling my therapy appointment, later that week, I quit, go work for a startup, and work full time for the startup that I took the second job with. But even at that point, I still felt like I was in it wasn't until November 7th that I felt true happiness and true joy in my life. And,
I find it fascinating, and that's why I asked you the defining moment, because I didn't know the date. But
yeah,
I notice, guys. I said to him, I go, do you have defining moment? He's like, yeah, I got two, and here they are. Like, that's how valuable, and that's how a defining moment is. Because many of you be like, I wonder if I had a defining moment. Have I had a defining moment? Like, you just know. Like, if you go around here, and I asked everybody, there's certain points in our lives that just something hits, and you know it. And it's so like it just happens. And when you said that to me, I was just like, I guarantee you he had a defining moment.
And I'll be honest, this is the first time I ever shared that I've ever thought about taking my own life. And it's a lot. Get a little choked up, but if I would have taken my own life, I would have created more damage than I was doing being here. And, here I am. But, with that said, it's like a light bulb went off in my head, and it's like, I'm here to be of service to other people.
Mm-hmm.
If I can just help one person, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot. And,
Yeah.
I really appreciate the opportunity to, share what I had to say. And, hopefully, somebody out there, if you're going through a bad time, hey, there is hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you sharing your story. Like, and we have a conversation typically 7:45 for those been on the Figure Out Friday, or especially depending on our relationship, we go through this, and I ask him certain things because it is vulnerable. This brings emotion out to people, and hell, there's strangers on here that he has no idea who he is, and people that I just meet and greet and just say like, hey, because these things trigger it. And I'm telling you guys, and then when he told me COVID, and well, for some of you, I see some questions, and we will ask Sean these questions here of where he is today and what he's got going on. But guys, if you're working by yourself, like Sean realizes, he tells you certain dates, but just like I say to you about my separation and divorce, like I didn't get divorced on August 2019, 2018. Like it didn't happen on that. Like legally, yes, but it happened years ago, and it just goes through a certain process. So like what Sean was going through of the work and the anxiety, and we just don't realize it until the time. And it's like you have this overload, and to share your when you told me about laying on the bed, that's when it got me goosebumps, because I can't imagine that feeling, and to be broken, and then you lose the relationship, and a lot of us do work from home. We're by ourselves. So Sean, a couple questions that came up, and then we're going to
Sure.
close here. But one of them was, the
Mm-hmm.
DNA test. Like, do you know the name of that DNA test or anything specifically on that?
I I don't, but I know 23andMe. They have an offshoot of that you can go and do a swab with that. I don't know the name of the test that the doctor did on me. I mean, I'm assuming it's a similar test, but I know 23andMe has a test you can do to find out what medications will work for you, and that it's a spectrum on the medications. The one they did on me was specifically for antidepressants, anti-anxieties.
Okay, cool. The next question I have, Christian, did you quit drinking, and are you still on medication?
Actually, I still drink, but socially, I'm not. I don't have. I'm not an alcoholic. I was just using it to self-medicate because it was accessible. Um, I might, have a couple drinks a month now. I mean, I'm not. The desire isn't there. The noise in my brain is no longer, there. So, the desire to drink and quote unquote shut my brain off. Yeah, I mean, it's not there anymore. Am I still on medication? Yeah, I am. I mean, and it's helped me tremendously. There's some people out there that don't believe in taking antidepressants and whatnot, but hey, it's helping me, and I'm living proof.
Mm.
But on top of that, the therapy as well. I mean, I'll probably never stop going to therapy because it's just good to have a neutral party to bounce things off of, to tell somebody how you're feeling. Because, to be honest with you, as men in this country, we are kind of preconditioned to not share our feelings and bottle everything up. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not good. Um, and if you can find a therapist, a friend, a priest, a minister, somebody that you have, boils down to emotional safety.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to you feel emotionally safe to break down to this person and say, hey, this is how I feel. And you don't want to feel judged because, you know, majority of the suicides in this country are by men because we can't talk and we can't get what we need out.
Mm-hmm. We use it as a weakness. I remember like therapy to me was like a weakness. I don't need that. I mean, Laura and I
Oh,
were going through
100%.
some marriage therapy. Then I went, you know, when I had my drink, literally, I would be drinking before I would go into therapy. That's how messed up I was in my head. And I'm like going to therapy about drinking while I'm drinking before I go into it because I'm like, I don't need this. Like, come
Right.
on now. Like, God, my name is Brock.
Exactly.
And it was my ego that freaking was causing me more problems than anything else in the world for me.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you know, like you said,
yeah,
Sean, everybody has their own thing.
yeah. I mean, I think ego plays into it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the stigma
Yeah.
of mental health and depression and everything like that.
Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for those that are on here. Please give Sean some love. Give him some love on Facebook. Give him some thumbs up. Give him some hearts on where he poured into us and shared with us his story. You know, definitely take Sean. We'll send you over some of these chats where
Oh, for sure.
Sandy and Chad and Christian and Claudia and all the people I see now, and Pat and on Facebook and Karen and we're all different people across this country. This is something that is very and like this is not going to go away. And the more that you isolate yourself and the more that you mask this and the more that you pretend that you don't have a challenge, like, so Sean we asked Sean if he'd be okay if we shared his phone number on here, and he wants to help other people. If you're struggling, if you got a challenge, you want to talk to him, we have his number. Jay is putting it on the chats as we speak. So in Facebook world, you see it, as well as on the, whatchamacallit, Zoom. We will put it on the chat here. I just want to thank you, Sean. Thank you
Yeah, no
tremendously for
problem, man.
sharing your story today. And we really appreciate you. And I appreciate our relationship of what we've
For
done.
sure.
And when I also talked to Sean, like his consistency, like he's on here pretty much every morning. And people who are on here, you will see a mindset shift. And Sean is living proof of that. So God bless you, man. And I appreciate you being on here this morning. And I know a lot of other people on here too, Dana and Jay. Can we make sure that we put his phone number also in the oh yeah, well, you did. It's in the chat, guys. So for those, we'll keep it open for another minute here. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great weekend, everybody. His phone number is on there if you want to reach out to him, if you got a challenge or if you want more questions about what he, you know, some of the stuff that he went through medicine. That's what this is all about. This is why I love this show. This is why I love Figured Out Friday is Sean figured out a way that he didn't let that gun on his bed and got to line him up with his friend to be able to have that conversation. We have to look at so many different things that are happening in our life, and you got to talk to people. You really do. So God bless you all. We will be back here Monday at 8:15 mornings with Mike, as him and I will be leading another episode. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys get to go hug somebody, go love on somebody, go tell them how much you care about them, you appreciate them, share something to them. Love you all. God bless you. Have a great weekend, and I'll see everybody on Monday. See ya.